Good evening. I'll now call the City of Cannon Falls City Council meeting for Tuesday, January 15th to order. Roll call.
Councilmember Duncan.
Here.
Holst.
Here.
Johnson. Here. Mattson.
Here.
McCusker. Yeah. Schulblum.
Yes.
And Mayor Robinson.
Yep. Please stand for the Pledge of Allegiance. Pledge of allegiance
to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Good evening, everyone. Welcome to the council meeting. And at this time, the chair will take a motion to approve the agenda as submitted.
So moved.
Second.
A motion by Merle, second by Bill. All those in favor?
Aye.
Carries. Moves us on to item 5 this evening, public input. Citizens may speak to issues not on the agenda. Before speaking, please give your name and address for the minutes. Please limit your comments to 3 minutes. As there is no one here that wishes to speak, we'll go ahead and move on. Brings us to item 6, the consent agenda. Items of this area of the agenda may be adopted, or they may be removed and placed on the business area of the agenda for discussion purposes before approving. For those at home, I will read the consent agenda. Item A is the just and correct claims for the accounting period ending December the 31st, 2012. Item B, just and correct claims for accounting period ending January the 11th, 2013. Item C, the library bookshelves. Item D, water tower antenna lease amendment. Item E, new home construction promotion. Item F, Highway 17 trail study. Item G, new library project change order. Are there any items anybody wishes to bring down?
C.
That will become item 7A, and reports will become 8. Adjournment will be 9. Any others?
D.
And D is the water tower lease, which will become 7B. Anything else? With the exceptions of items C, which is library bookshelves, and item D, the water tower antenna lease amendment, Chair will take a motion to approve the consent agenda as submitted.
So moved.
I'll second.
Motion by Merle, second by Bill. All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Consent agenda carries. That brings us on to, let everybody get their information together here. To council business, which library bookshelves. And Marcia, you had some questions?
Yes, I do. Not so much the bookshelf, but I guess how many papers and magazines do you have? 70 subscriptions, roughly?
Currently, we have 70 periodical subscriptions and 10 newspaper subscriptions.
Do we need them all?
If you start thinking about the range of interests of people, you've got cooking magazines, and I mean cooking, just a simple example, cooking magazines are not just a cooking magazine with recipes. You've got sort of your home recipes, which one periodical takes care of. Then you've got your diet recipes, which one periodical would take care of. And periodicals are the easiest way to get up-to-date information fast and get it out to the patrons. Meaning, you know, we might purchase a cookbook, but it doesn't have the current recipes and the current interests. So if you're appealing to a wide variety of tastes, you've got all of these magazines that keep people current. So, I mean, we have handyman magazines, we have multiple quilting magazines, which appeals to the community interest. And we keep a record of those, and we make sure that the circulation is up enough that we're paying $1.50 per magazine based on the circulation statistics. I mean, that's not how much we pay for the magazine.
No.
But that's how much it comes out to, that's what we would be paying. And we keep track of that, and the usage is still there. So the 70 magazines are being used.
What about the paper then? The papers?
Papers are used on a daily basis. We keep those displayed, and, I mean, we range from most local newspapers within the area to St. Paul, Minneapolis,
Right.
to Rochester. And then, of course, our national magazine, which is the Wall Street Journal, we keep that, and it's read on a daily basis. I could probably name 5 people, but I can't tell you their names that come in just for the Wall Street Journal.
Because I say it's about, what, $700 for 2 years, roughly?
Yes. We looked at that really hard this year, and it's one of those magazines that the general public's not, I mean, one of those newspapers the general public's not going to purchase, but it is a highly rated magazine and used on a daily basis. So, yeah, we thought about this year, how do I justify paying $795 for 2 years for a subscription to a newspaper? But if it's being used, it's well worth it.
Yeah, that's why I was just wondering, you know, how much is it used or whatever. You've answered, so that's fine. Thanks.
Okay, with that, Chair will take if there's no other discussion, the Chair will take a motion to approve the purchase of the shelving for the library magazines at $5277.93.
So moved.
And I'll second that.
Motion by Merle, a second by Bill. Any further discussion? Not, all those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Carries. Moves us on to item 7B, which is the water tower at Antennae lease amendment. And Leroy, you brought that down?
Yeah. The concerns I had with that for the council, I think I'm probably the only one that thinks this way, is that in the first place, I guess I don't know if it's good to have these towers or these antennas up on top of our water towers. Over the long period, there can be some issues. Aaron assured me that we have agreements in our contract that covers us that if something happened to our tower from these things that were covered and stuff. But the one thing I told Aaron that really bothered me was $150 a month from a multi-million-dollar, possibly a billion-dollar company. To give you a little background, these companies had a heck of a time putting up their towers, getting their permits and stuff to do this. And we're just going to let them do it on our tank for $150 a month. It's not going to make our cell phones any cheaper by us being a good sport and doing this. I would rather see them buy 2 lots from us, or 5 lots even, and put up a tower and pay us taxes on that tower than I would for us to do this for $150 a month. I think it's kind of an insult from the company to do that. The other thing that I had a concern about, Aaron, that I didn't bring up the other day is where we're at as far as fencing and security around these towers and how this works, that if we have guaranteed security from these companies, that when they go up in these towers, they report into our city staff or to Tom Bergerson when they're going to be there and how this all works. If we're getting to the point where the country is heading these days, are we getting to the point we actually got to start fencing our towers and have security systems on them? Because as far-fetched as that is, somebody could climb the towers and contaminate our water. So I'm a little bit concerned about that. So I want some kind of assurance these people that go up in these towers have a security clearance and they're guaranteed. Otherwise, if we have open towers and the city crew drives by and sees a truck there, some guy there, how do we have the assurance that it's the right person and stuff? The other thing is they're on our towers and they need this generator. I understand that. But I really feel they can do something more for us. They can either give us $5,000 towards our park fund or $10,000 towards our park fund or something. The cost of putting up a tower and buying land and getting all these permits is just crazy. And the whole idea, we're going to get $150 a month. I just have a problem with that. And I wouldn't have a problem if it was a little startup company in Cannon Falls that were starting up their own cell phone company. But we've gotten to the point where we used to have like 20 cell phone companies, and now the big ones have bought all the old little ones. So I would like to see if we could come up with something better to work with this.
I'll try to start from the first one, then work my way through them. You know, as far as the tower itself and having antennas on there, the reason that you see cities now with you know, all the antennas on top of their towers is that companies, years back when cellular first started coming in and they needed these towers, they tried to put up their own towers, and cities fought them tooth and nail. Nobody wants a tower in their neighborhood. Nobody wants a tower by them. So the companies had so much trouble actually building their own towers and buying land to do that, that the compromise or the solution that was worked out is they put them on existing towers, which in most cities, the largest or the tallest area is your water tower. So, you know, you can go in any city, anywhere and look, and they've all got antennas on top. They all lease those, they all lease that space on top of their towers, but you know, to be honest, it's the best solution. You don't, you know, you see the towers that are in the country, you don't want that by your house. You know, it doesn't do anything for the city as far as property values, things like that. It's a detriment, which is why you don't see them within cities as much anymore. You'll see them usually in those country sites and things like that, where you see the big towers and they're strictly just antenna towers. So that's why the antennas are on our towers. It's probably the best option for us. As far as the actual lease amount, you know, while I agree that obviously they're big companies and they make a lot of money, they've got thousands of these everywhere. And they have pretty much a set rate per square foot that they pay. We're not getting any more or less than neighboring communities that also lease tower space to Verizon. The amount they're gonna pay us for this generator footprint on the property is the same amount they pay for the existing building that's next to it, which is the same square foot amount that they pay in the other cities that they also lease space from. It's pretty much just their standard rate. It's what they pay. You know, in our case, it doesn't hurt us to have it. It gives us some sort of income generation. So we go with it. And one of the benefits is we want the cellular service. I mean, you do want good cell service in your community. I mean, we use it for the city. Obviously, the residents use it. You want that service. So this is, you know, our way of not only assisting with that, but we do get some money in for it. Then as far as access to the tower, you know, in this situation, anything on the ground, we don't, you know, fence off and restrict that access. But the tower itself, none of the companies can go on the tower for repair or anything like that without notifying us first. So they can't just climb up to the top, their antenna's not working, something like that. They have to notify the city. One of our guys has to be there when they go out there and go up there to make sure. So we don't allow anybody onto the tower itself without approval. But onto the site itself, for like this generator, if there's a problem in their building or they have to do maintenance in their building or on the generator, we don't have that fenced off, so they can go in, you know, on that whenever they want to. So it may not sound like a great deal to the city, and you know, maybe it isn't, but you know, to be honest, to have, you know, for what it is, it's the going rate. It's what they pay. It's
Kind of like,
what we have.
kind of like the cable companies, we're kind of stuck when we start getting to some of these
We
places.
can say, no, you can't be on there anymore, but then what does that benefit us if we no longer have cell service? I mean, we already have we currently even have some cell issues in areas of town with the antennas that are there. So for us to say, no, you can't use our tower anymore, they're gonna have to try to find someplace else, which probably will have a negative impact on the service we do currently have. So I don't know there's never, you know, a perfect answer for some of these things, but you know, in this case, you know, we've had a long-term relationship with them. Have not had any problems with them. They pay their lease. They're, you know, no issues, those sort of things.
But as far as the lease, do you know how much it is roughly, or in ballpark?
I don't know. Do you remember when we just looked at this? Yeah. I think that's right.
How much?
Yeah, I thought it was
Yeah.
right in that
Okay, yeah,
about
that's
$8,000 range.
That's about normal.
Yep,
yeah.
somewhere in there. And then this would be obviously in addition to that,
Yeah.
that amount that we get.
It's not
So,
bad.
And that's per month?
what's that?
Per month
No,
or
no,
year?
that's
Year.
the annual amount. Yep,
Yeah.
that's the annual.
How much was the total annual, Aaron?
About 6,000 to 8,000. I can't remember exactly what it was. I think it was closer to the 8,000
For the generator or for the whole
No.
package?
for the whole thing. What they're leasing now,
Right.
the antenna,
Right
and then
now.
that
Right.
that-
Right now.
And is that just Verizon now, or is that Mediacom and all of them?
We have separate ones with anybody that has an antenna. So that would be just Verizon.
Right, but we're talking just a generator is like $150 a month.
Right. Yep.
Yeah.
Not bad.
So, I realize you got all this paperwork done and we did all this. I don't think it's an insult to ask them to donate $5,000 to our parks too. Whether you could do something like that, and what's the worst that's gonna happen? They're gonna come and say, no, if we did it with your city, we gotta do it to other cities, we can't start this, we don't wanna do that. You know where you're at, but I don't think it hurts to try. I don't think it hurts for Verizon to be a good corporate company out there and to help with those situations in our cities. So I don't think it hurts to ask, and I'll leave the rest up to the council. The other thing is that I just want to throw in this while we're talking about it, because we don't talk about it very much. But I would like to see this money that we take in for our rental agreements go to the park budget or to some kind of designated area. Now, we're doing a study. We need our trail from our overflow parking to go down underneath Highway 19. We need to get that done for safety reasons and other things. We got a trail that we're talking about looking at on County Road 17 to tie that end back into town for a walkway. I would like to see us take these contracts that we have with this stuff and make that a designated fund to pay for this stuff rather than just throw it into the budget like we're doing, and it just gets lost in the shuffle and we really don't get any gain out of it. So I'd like the council to think about designating this money at some point to do things like this. That's my only comment. I guess that's it.
Aaron, where does that go to the general fund at this time?
Yep, it just shows up on the revenue budget as, I think, leases, payments, whatever. It's just kind of a general fund area. So it goes into we take into account, so when we do our budgeting, that's part of the revenue that we use, through that process. And, we basically just use it for operational expenses. Right. Everything that's non-tax revenue just lowers what we actually have to levy to cover the expenses. So, but we can talk about when we do budget discussion this year. I know we're going to, kind of talk early about capital and using the general fund reserves maybe to a certain level. And, one of the things we can discuss too then is that with these lease things, maybe we want to use them in a different way and put them in a different fund. We can definitely talk about that with the budget process.
I mean, that's a good idea, Leroy. I mean, it's something
no
for us
issue
to
with
look
that.
at when we do start the budget process.
It isn't a lot. It might amount to 10, if you take all of our contracts, I don't know what they are, they might be 10 to 15,000 a year. But if you take that over 10 years and we did a bond and pay for it with that, we're actually getting some benefit back versus just going into our fund and nothing's coming from that extra money we're generating there. Thank you.
Any further discussion? If not, the chair will take a motion to approve the third amendment to the communication site lease agreement as presented.
So moved.
I'll second that.
A motion by Merle, second by Bill. Any further discussion? All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed?
No.
Motion carries. All right, that brings us on to reports. Mr. Maroney. Rick?
Too quiet, I'm not gonna blow it.
Merle?
Nothing.
Nothing.
Bill?
Nothing.
Leroy?
Nothing.
Jay?
Nope.
It's nice to see the sidewalk now in front of the library. That's good. That's it.
Hey, I got to tell us, the council, something quick for your strange file. Put this in your strange file. The guy that's our superintendent up there on our project, I was meeting with him this week, and when we got done meeting about things, I said, what project you headed off to next? And he said, I'm retiring. This is the last project. And he said, but I got to tell you this. He said, it's really strange. He said, in 1969, I got home from service, military service, and he said, my first job I got was superintendent of concrete work at the Cannon Falls School. And he said, now I was superintendent of the Cannon Falls Library is my last job that I did. How strange is that?
Yeah.
And he lives in the cities, of course.
And I have nothing for this evening, so at this point, we'll take a motion to adjourn.
So moved.
Second.